video.
It's like, as a young girl, you play in boys league because at that time your dad couldn't find a girls league for you.
Yeah.
But right now things has changed a little bit. So in the future, what do you want to see, like, or the things for girls basketball to be improved?
Yeah, I think just like more and more opportunities, and I think that's exactly what's happening.
And it's that stark, undeniable contrast between what Caitlyn is focused on versus what everyone else seems to be obsessed with that tells you absolutely everything you need to know. It's the key to understanding why Nike finally, after all that waiting, dropped that massive commercial in the middle of December. So let's really break down the timing here, because you have to admit, the sports gods definitely seem to align perfectly on Christmas Day of 2024.
Oh gods, the sports gods aligned, and I literally had that video out like less than an hour after the ad came out for Caitlyn Clark and Nike. By the way, if I remember correctly, it aired in the third quarter of the Cowboys-Redskins NFL game. And I figured I said it in the video, I figured that's why this ad dropped yesterday, was for the NFL and NBA slate. Of course, the NBA, yesterday's basically their biggest day of the year outside of any finals games.
This incredibly insightful interview with the Chinese content creator Tel Fairtongue, it drops on December 26th, and the central question is all about Caitlyn's vision for the future of women's basketball. And then you rewind the clock less than 24 hours earlier, and what happens? Nike unleashes their very first major Caitlyn Clark commercial, and they don't just put it anywhere. They drop it during the third quarter of the Cowboys Commanders NFL game.
Now, I don't know, is it hard to find opportunities to play basketball as a young girl? I know even here in rural East Texas, we had junior high and high school girls basketball, even in a very small school like I went to, which was like, we literally had 500 students, 800 students in the whole school. I can't remember now. My senior class had 32 people in it. But we had full team and we had some good players.
That ad aired on what is undeniably one of the biggest, most watched sports days of the entire year, strategically sandwiched right between the slate of NBA Christmas games and Netflix's honestly disastrous debut into NFL broadcasting. You have to understand, that's not just a happy coincidence. That is a calculated multi-million-dollar strategy playing out in real time.
You know, it's getting the young girls to get out and play. By the way, that's where she comes in, WNBA. You better start respecting her, because she's the one that's going to draw the eyes. I haven't seen a good Nike commercial in years, and her commercial yesterday, I'm not going to play it again. It was really damn good. I mean, it's... A lot of people pointed out what took so damn long, Nike, but it was really good. So, a little reaction from this video right here. Of course, the tagline is "from anywhere," meaning she can shoot a three and hit it from anywhere.
Nike knew with absolute certainty what they were doing. They were dropping this commercial at the exact moment when millions upon millions of casual sports fans would be glued to their screens. We're talking about people who might not follow the WNBA day to day, but they absolutely know who Caitlyn Clark is. And the tagline, "from anywhere," plays so perfectly into her signature move, those legendary logo three-pointers that literally broke the internet back in her Iowa days.
Korea, about time. This is one cool ad, and about time Nike, from anywhere. Yeah, I mean, even State Farm, somebody who sponsors her just weighed in on another sponsor's actual ad. That's pretty wild. State Farm, especially from the logo. That's good. That's good. 100. From Iowa to anywhere, Caitlyn Clark. Gamebridge Sports. There we go. fire. I mean, that's pretty wild. That's pretty wild. I think Caitlyn and MJ and Larry Bird do a commercial from back in the day. That would be awesome. I would love to see that. I grew up in a Larry Bird fan, a major Larry Bird fan, and Charles Barkley.
The commercial itself, if you just scroll through the comments, was being hailed as the best Nike ad anyone had seen in years. But here's what makes the timing even more fascinating. This interview, where Caitlyn is talking about growing the game on a global scale, about taking women's basketball to massive new markets like China, about creating tangible opportunities for young girls to see their heroes up close, it drops the day after Nike officially positions her as a true global icon. Not just a WNBA player, not even just a basketball player.
Yeah. Not cool. Not cool. She's amazing. Yeah, making the three from the logo anywhere. Anywhere. It was just good. I mean, honestly, great commercial. Wonder what took Nike so long to put something like this out. Nevertheless, awesome spot. I don't get it. I mean, this commercial could have, about effing time, Nike. I mean, this commercial could have been put out like the first month she hit the league.
Now, you have to listen closely to this perspective, because what she says here reveals something absolutely crucial about Caitlyn's deep understanding of her own journey and how she got to this point. She's talking about growing up in rural East Texas at a school with only 500 students in total and a senior class of just 32 people. And even in that incredibly tiny remote school, they had full girls basketball teams.
So, Indiana Fever superstar Caitlyn Clark has already made a massive impact on the growth of women's basketball, has experienced over the last few years. In fact, she, along with several others, because my God, y'all can't not name somebody else, Angel Reese, Paige Beckers, please, has been the driving force in this growth, especially within the WNBA. While there have been popular players and well-known names in women's basketball before Clark came on the scene, there's no question her global renown is unprecedented when compared to her peers. Clark's global name value holds a lot of weight when compared to some of the biggest men's basketball players. There's no question that Clark in women's basketball as a whole still has a lot of room to grow and evolve, both as a business and in terms of its prominence in sports culture.
They had players who were good enough to make the all-district teams. They had a girl who was talented enough to compete at a really high level, despite being, for all intents and purposes, in the middle of nowhere. Caitlyn's point, and this is so important, isn't that opportunities for girls don't exist. She mentions that her dad found her a boys' league to play in when she was young, but that was because that's where the best competition was at the time. It wasn't because girls' basketball was non-existent. The basic infrastructure is already there. What's been missing and what she represents is the visibility. The inspiration. It's the ability for young girls all over the world to just turn on the TV and watch women playing basketball at the absolute highest level, making millions of dollars, and getting their own Nike commercials during major NFL games. That right there is the gap that Caitlyn Clark is actively trying to fill. And she is clearly smart enough to understand that her primary role in filling that gap isn't to get bought. No, her role is to be so undeniably good, so incredibly visible, and so wildly successful that young girls see her and think, that's what I want to do. You simply can't inspire the next generation if you're constantly getting distracted by the drama of the current one. And this, right here, is exactly where the WNBA really needs to start paying close attention, because this kind of commentary isn't coming from some casual fan who just tuned in. This is coming from someone who has clearly watched the league so Nike drops this incredible commercial, and it pulls in a staggering 2.5 million views in less than 24 hours. The frustration you see in the comments stems from this one simple fact: that commercial could have and absolutely should have been released on draft night all the way back in April of 2024. Let's just replay the timeline. Caitlyn Clark is drafted first overall by the Indiana Fever on April 15th, 2024. In that instant, she becomes the single biggest story in women's basketball, and you could argue in all of women's sports, period. Her very first professional game shatters TV ratings record. The economic impact she had was immediate, it was massive, and it was completely undeniable. And yet, Nike waits 8 full months. That's not just being careful with your brand management, that is actively leaving an immense amount of money and cultural capital on the table. That's completely missing the cultural moment while it's at its absolute peak. Think about how much harder that commercial would have hit back in April when the hype was at a fever pitch, when every single sports outlet from ESPN to local news was running daily stories about her groundbreaking impact on the league. You know who understood this? State Farm. They started running their Caitlyn Clark ads almost immediately. And let's be totally honest for a second, right? That's not a crazy idea at all. The original Space Jam worked so perfectly because Michael Jordan was at the absolute zenith of his cultural influence and global fame. The sequel they did with LeBron, by contrast, just felt a bit forced, a little too corporate. But can you imagine a Space Jam starring Caitlyn Clark right now, while her impact is still so fresh and feels so authentic? That could genuinely work. So when you see State Farm's official account leaving a comment on Nike's ad, you have to understand that's not just some friendly brand-to-brand interaction. That is one sponsor who moved lightning fast, basically calling out another sponsor who moved way too slow. Now we're really getting into the heart of the conversation, because when you dig into these comments, they reveal exactly what the fans are actually hungry to see. Someone in the comments suggests a commercial with Caitlyn, Michael Jordan, and Larry Bird, a direct callback to those classic legendary Nike ads from the 90s. Then someone else chimes in asking for a Caitlyn. She has that rare crossover appeal that extends way beyond basketball fans. She's got the compelling underdog story that people love to root for. And maybe most importantly, she's still new enough on the professional scene that it wouldn't just feel like another soulless corporate cash grab. And those comparisons to Larry Bird, they aren't random at all. We're talking about elite, seemingly limitless shooting. Look, this commercial is fantastic. It's well shot, it's inspiring, it's everything you want from a Nike ad. But that's precisely what makes the frustration so completely valid. There is absolutely nothing in the final product that required an 8-month waiting period. The footage of her shooting could have easily been shot back in May. The core concept, from anywhere, was already perfectly established by her entire college career. It did 2.5 million views in a single day, which is incredible. But now, just imagine what those numbers would have looked like in April of 2024, at the exact moment when Caitlyn Clark was, without question, the single biggest story in the entire world of sports. Picture it. It's draft night. She's picked first overall. The commissioner announces her name, and then you immediately cut to that commercial. From anywhere. Now let's go all the way back to what Caitlyn actually said in that interview, because this is truly the part that matters most. She's not wasting her time talking about league drama or trying to fix petty controversies. What is she focused on? Visibility, getting the game on TV more, selling more tickets, taking the game to a global audience, letting young fans get the chance to see their idols up close and in person. That is how you capitalize on a cultural moment. That is fundamental marketing 101. And somehow, Nike, a company built on marketing genius, completely missed it, even after they had already signed her to that massive 8-year, $28 million deal before she was even drafted. By the time the ad finally drops in December, the WNBA season is long over. The playoffs are a distant memory. The initial explosive cultural moment has inevitably cooled down a bit. She's speaking directly from her own experience here. Those are the kinds of moments that shaped her own childhood and fueled her dreams. And now, she's in the unique and powerful position to create those exact same kinds of life-changing moments for the entire next generation. That's what this Nike commercial really represents. That's what playing international exhibition games in places like China represents. That's what shattering viewership and attendance records truly represents. It's not just about her own personal success, it's about creating a sustainable, inspiring pipeline of young girls who will grow up watching professional women's basketball and truly believing that a future in the sport is possible for them too. If the WNBA and all of its corporate partners are smart, they will recognize this moment for the rare and precious opportunity that it is. These kinds of lightning-in-a-bottle moments do not come around very often. Caitlyn Clark's rookie season was a legitimate cultural phenomenon, and that kind of new, fresh energy doesn't last forever. Her second year just won't feel the same. By year 3, she's just You can never get that rookie magic back once it's gone. Sure, the commercial still worked, it still made a huge splash. People obviously still care deeply, but you just have to imagine what could have happened. The kind of cultural shockwave they could have created if they had just struck while the iron was white hot back in April. The lesson here is incredibly simple. When the level of public attention is completely unprecedented, urgency is everything, visibility is everything, and timing, as we just saw, is absolutely everything.